What's up, everybody? The NBA is back. I am thrilled. I am excited. It is the 21st of February. We've been off of the NBA for about a week now for the All-Star break. I've been missing it. I don't know about y'all, but I've been missing it really, really bad. The first day or two is nice not to be completely focused in. For those of you guys who might be new to the station and don't know what I do a daily fantasy sports like all the time. I give advice on that, so that's kind of like what my main gig is. And it's a grueling long season, but after about 2 days, I really want my NBA back, and it's finally here. We get to watch the Bucks take on the Celtics today, which I couldn't be more thrilled about. So I want to preview this game really quickly, bring up a few points, and then we'll move along for the day and get excited to watch this game tonight. Big game. So this is Wisconsin Sports Talk, guys. We're here to talk Bucks, Brewers, and Packers. This is the second episode, got started yesterday. Again, I mentioned it earlier. I'm a full-time YouTuber when it comes to daily fantasy sports, but I wanted to take a little bit of my free time and just hone in on the teams that I love, which are the Packers, the Brewers, and the Bucks. I am a Wisconsin guy. It's where I'm born. It's where I live. If you are new to the station, though, guys, it would be I'd be very appreciated for anybody who hits the red button that says subscribe. The thumbs up really does help me spread me around YouTube. It is tough at first to get your channel established. I got about 10,000 subscribers on my other channel, or getting to 10,000, I think about 9,500. It does take a while, especially when that subject matter doesn't appeal to the vast majority of people in the United States. This will appeal to more people in Wisconsin, but that stuff helps me out. Again, Green Bay, born and raised. I left for about 10 years, moved out to enemy country in Minneapolis, had a good time out there, but I'm back now. I'm a hardcore sports addict. Again, I evaluate things from a daily fantasy sports perspective and a little bit more of like a sports betting angle. So I'm a little bit more analytical about how I watch sports, which can be boring to some people. I get that. I'll try not to bore you guys and just talk about some of the more exciting portions of the game. But we got the 43-14 best record in the NBA, Milwaukee Bucks. Awesome first half of the season. Absolutely excited to watch this team continue to grow right in front of our very eyes. Every month of the season, Giannis continues to shoot the three ball better. He is an absolute bull in the china shop down in the paint. The Celtics was everybody's preseason darling to come out of the East, and they've been a bit of a disappointment from that perspective. That being said, 37-21, still a really solid record. So this is not a bad team. This is not a cakewalk tonight. Milwaukee is favored by 5.5 points, which is about what you should expect for a home game. You get about 3 points for being at home, so the experts are saying Milwaukee's about 2.5 points better. I get that. That's about right to me. I think Milwaukee's a little better. I think about 2.5 points, 3 for being at home. And if the Celtics were at home, it'd be about a pick 'em game. So that seems right to me. There's a reason these guys in Vegas, win more than they lose. And they tend to get the lines right more often than they don't. All right. So one thing I got to say, knowing that the vast majority of people who watch this will be bigger fans of the Bucks because this is a Wisconsin-based sports channel, it's kind of nice that this really is a bigger game for the Celtics. Now, I think Milwaukee and the Bucks will approach it as a bigger game for them. I think these guys down in the corner right there, Giannis and Brogdon, Middleton, Bledsoe, so on and so on, are going to come in and have this as a statement game, so I'm not worried about them sleeping. But technically, this is a bigger game for Boston. Right now, Milwaukee holds down the number 1 seed. Their second half schedule is easier than their first half, whereas I didn't look all the way through it, but I think Boston's second half schedule might be a little bit more difficult than the first half, although don't quote me on that. And now that I'm thinking about it in my head, they have played most of their games with Philly already, so probably not. Either way, the season series is split right now, 1-1. The Bucks started off the season undefeated. They took their first loss of the year in Boston. It was like game 8 or 9 on the season or whatever it was. It was a really close game. And despite the fact that it was a loss for the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't hold anything against them losing this game. First off, again, Boston's a good team. Winning in Boston is not easy. It doesn't hurt their chances, though, that the Boston Celtics hit 24 three-pointers, which is a franchise record. They managed to win a home game by 4 points while setting a franchise record with 24 three-pointers. I don't take anything against the Bucks in that game. Kudos to Boston. They were on fire. They played a solid basketball game. They won, but they squeaked it out after scoring 72 points from behind the arc. Isn't going to happen. The Bucks won the second game of the year in Boston, and they won it pretty easily from the jump. Milwaukee looked like the better team that entire game. In fact, because I had DFS players or daily fantasy sports players going in that game, I was a little bit concerned because I had several of them from each team that the game was going to be a blowout. Now, Boston, much to their credit, fought back to keep the game within at least arm's length. he never got overly close, but Boston made a couple of comebacks to, cut it down to, I think, upper single digits or at least low double digits. So they had to keep the starters out there and everything like that. But Milwaukee looked like the better team from start to end. The Bucks this year are 23-5 at home, which is a phenomenal record. Well, the Celtics are 14-13 in road games. They're basically a 500 road team, whereas Milwaukee has been dominant at home. This, to me, if you want to just kind of break it down into a simplistic fashion, makes Milwaukee a pretty good favorite to win this game tonight. Really not a lot of key injuries to speak about for this game. Gordon Hayward is listed as questionable. Aaron Baines is out tonight, which, while Aaron Baines is not a major difference maker, the one thing that he does is patrol the rim better than anybody else that Boston has the ability to put out there, which is big when you take on a team like Milwaukee. I think everybody and their mother knows that Giannis gets to the rim better than anybody in the NBA right now. But Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm Brogdon are also two of the most underrated drivers of the basketball. The Milwaukee Bucks under Coach Budenholzer this year have really kind of taken to a Mike D'Antoni type of offensive system, whereas we shoot layups and dunks or threes. We really try to limit the mid-range game. You'll see Chris in there every once in a while, and occasionally Giannis will have to take occasional mid-ranger just to keep the defense honest, I guess is the best way to look at it. But Aaron Baines won't play tonight, so those 12 to 18 minutes he might be out there patrolling the rim can only help Milwaukee in this situation. Gordon Hayward is questionable. Whether he plays or not, it helps Boston if he's in there, but it's not the end of the world because Boston is pretty deep in even talent, whether you want to talk about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward. A lot of these guys, Marcus Morris, they're all pretty darn good. So this just means that other guys will pick up the slack for him. What Milwaukee may have tonight is first appearance by the guy they picked up on the trade deadline, which is Nikola Mirotic. So for any of you listening to this who might just be Bucks fans, really don't know this guy this well, he started his career in Chicago. He spent a little time on the Pelicans. We picked him up at the trade deadline. He is 6'11", 7 feet tall, a bit of a defensive liability. It is the weaker part of what he does, although he's not a bad shot blocker. Obviously, most 7-footers, tend to be at least decent at that. What he is a long-range sniper. Him and Brook Lopez might be the two guys in the NBA that take the deepest three-pointers, with the exception of Steph Curry, obviously. And this is only going to help to spread the floor. And when he gets hot, man, does he get hot. This, to me, was a big trade because it gives you another guy, if you want to make like a baseball comparison, who can come up and hit a grand slam at any point. They might win a playoff game, and even more importantly, like if they get into a big series with Golden State or even a team like Philly or Boston, a game where he will single-handedly win for him by going 7 of 9 from beyond the arc or something like that. He is a long-range assassin. I talked about this the other day, matching up with Golden State. When you got a guy like Draymond Green, who isn't even a threat offensively, you can hide Mirotic's defense by kind of sticking him out there. So this could be a potential matchup nightmare for Golden State that gives Milwaukee a better chance to, get some underdog wins in that series. All right. This is another reason I like the Bucks to come out and play a good game tonight. If you look at how these teams have fared against quality opponents this year, the Celtics are 9-9 versus good teams. Okay. They're playing teams they're even with, and they're going about even. So kudos to them. They've really dominated the Philadelphia 76ers this year, which also goes back to the playoffs last year. They seem to have Philly's number. Now, we'll see how that works out with the addition of Tobias Harris. The floor spreading really should help Philly, as their starting five is excellent. But so far this year, Celtics are 3-0 against Philly. They're 2-0 against Oklahoma City. One of the Bucks' most recent losses came against OKC when they played a great game. And Boston has been really good against them. On the flip side of that, they're 4-9 against the other good teams, the Warriors, the Raptors of the world, and things like that. So they've been okay against good opponents. The flip side of this is the Bucks are 12-6 against good opponents, have not lost to the same opponent twice. Let me repeat that. Nobody in the NBA has beaten Milwaukee twice. They also haven't lost a back-to-back all season. So the Bucks coming into the break, if you watch their last couple of games, they took that loss to the Magic when Giannis sat. They beat the Bulls, but they didn't beat the Bulls handily, and they really had to have a great comeback against the Pacers to win that game. They had tired legs. You could see it in their jump shots. Everything was shorter, long. The legs weren't under them. This break was big for them. I expect him to come out refreshed and rejuvenated tonight, and we're going to see the best of Milwaukee, in my opinion. Even though I touched on the fact that this game is bigger for Boston simply by looking at how tight the standings are, and there isn't that much of the season left, and wins are more important to them, This is a statement game for Milwaukee, and they've played very well in statement games this year. Those 6 losses that they took to quality opponents, you can't ever fault a team for losing to Golden State. They lost a home game against Golden State after working Golden State in Golden State. I mean, it's the Warriors, guys. It's the best NBA team I've ever seen. Better than the Michael Bulls, better than Kobe and Shaq. They're 5 All-Stars deep, even though Cousins wasn't playing in that game. But they still have Iguodala, who's been an All-Star before as well. They're a great team. Best team in the NBA. And I made my case for Milwaukee yesterday, but the Warriors are the best team. So they lost that one. A couple weeks ago, they lost to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is a really good team in their own right. And Oklahoma City was the better team that day. They played as a better team for the last 46 minutes of the game, which anybody who does the math knows that's pretty much the whole game. Milwaukee started out the game nice for about 2 minutes, but after that, Paul George, Jeremy Grant, they played great games, and Milwaukee deserved to lose that one. Oklahoma City played a great game. They lost to Portland when CJ McCollum went 16-25 from the field. Anytime a long-range shooter goes 16-25 and scores, I think, 51 points, that's a tough game to win. He was absolutely unconscious that night. So even some of the games the Bucks have lost to good opponents, like, you can understand why they lost. The other team played a great game, or somebody else was just on fire. All right, so let's talk about the 2 superstars in this game. We got Giannis, the Greek Freak, Antetokounmpo against Kyrie Irving. Now, the game's obviously more complex than the team's best player versus the other team's best player. I know if you listen to some of the talking heads on national media, and they might say, they get into LeBron should have beaten the Warriors because he's better than Kevin Durant. That doesn't make sense, all right? That's not the way it is. It's more complex than that. But quite honestly, Giannis is, to me, a good amount better than Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie is a great closer. I think he comes up big in clutch points. He makes big shots. His handle is unbelievable, but it still is difficult to impose your will when you're not a great passer on another team the way that a guy who's 7 feet tall and absolutely cannot be stopped in the paint the way that Giannis can. Giannis is also a significantly better defender than Kyrie Irving is. So, again, these are 2 very good players, but for my money, I'll take Giannis all day over Kyrie Irving. It's really not even that close to me in my mind. Like, whereas Giannis is now in the debate for the 2nd best player in the league, and we're going to start talking about if LeBron's fading a bit and maybe he could be the best. I think Kyrie is just trying to get into that top 10. I'll take a guy like a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook over him. So that's just how I feel. You can agree to disagree on this one. Either way, the Celtics, they play good defense, but this year Milwaukee's defense has been better. And they just don't have the guys to keep Giannis out of the paint. Guys like Tatum and Brown and Marcus Morris and, Al Horford, like, these guys play good defense, and they play good defense. They just don't have the bodies and the size and the athleticism to keep Giannis away from the paint. A guy like Tatum might have some of the overall quickness, but he's just not big enough to stop Giannis, who almost nobody can. So I like the fact that the superstars right here plays to the advantage of the Milwaukee Bucks. I think this is a statement game for the Greek Freak. Almost every game this year against big opponents is. I mean, this is a guy on the come up, one of the most driven athletes I've ever had the pleasure to watch. So if you just want to play the superstar game here, as great as Kyrie Irving is, Giannis is just better and more unstoppable. All right, so how do I feel like this game will play out? I think the Bucks get an early lead. I think it plays out fairly similar to the second time these teams met up, where Milwaukee comes out, is playing hard, playing great defense. I think the Bucks defense on their best day right now is just a little better than the Celtics defense on their best day. And the fact that the game is in Milwaukee, whereas Boston is really just a 500 road team, gives the Bucks a big advantage of this one. Statement game for Giannis, statement game for the Bucks. The Celtics came in as the favorites coming into this season, and so far this year, the Bucks have been the better team. This is a good spot for Milwaukee to show on national television for everybody who hasn't quite bought in yet, and people are finally starting to buy in. It took most of the season for them to do so. The Bucks are better than the Celtics. I have no qualms about saying that. I've watched almost every Bucks game this year and probably watched 24 Celtics games, so I feel like I have a pretty good handle on these two teams. I think Milwaukee is just as talented, if not more. People really wanted to quickly to anoint the young talent of the Boston Celtics, but they don't play as a team. And don't take it from me. Take it from, a good NBA player in Marcus Morris, who is a Boston Celtic, who said this team's got issues. This is just a week or two ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, where he said this team doesn't play as a team. Milwaukee plays as a team. They galvanize together. They have a great leader in Giannis that they seem to follow, and when he gets up, they all get up. So This is a spot where I like Milwaukee to win this game. I like them to win by about 12, give or take, 118, 106, 119, 110, something along those lines, where it'll be just competitive enough that the stars will be out there, that we get to watch them all game, but it won't be coming down to the wires the way that I view it. This is just, to me, a great spot for Milwaukee to really show who they are to the national media, to the national TV audience. I buy the League Pass, so I watch all these games. But not everybody gets the opportunity to do that. Some people aren't, they don't work in the sports industry and they have lives and they have to watch where their money goes, so they don't get to do that. This is a great spot for the national television audience to watch who the Bucks are, get an opportunity to watch the Greek Freak coming off that amazing dunk that he had in the All-Star game. I know some people are going to be excited to watch it. And quite frankly, I think most of the United States is sick of watching Boston winning. They got the World Series and the Super Bowl. Let somebody else have some fun every once in a while. So that's what we got for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Let's watch some basketball tonight, and I'll see you guys here in the direct, immediate future.